You're listening to Docs Outside the Box, episode 35.
Welcome to Docs Outside the Box podcast. This is your official show, looking inside the minds of cutting-edge and innovative doctors. Think you'll find these stories in any medical textbook? Sorry. You're getting real-life insight from men and women pushing the envelope beyond medicine. Ordinary doctors doing extraordinary things. Let's start now with your host, Dr. Nee Darko.
This episode is brought to you by Set for Life Insurance. Protect yourself against life setbacks with Set for Life Insurance. Set for Life Insurance gets you disability and life insurance at a reduced cost with their exclusive discounts. Now that's why I use them. Visit www.setforlifeinsurance.com and tell them Dr. Darko sent you. Hey docs, are you looking to learn how to become a physician leader? Then Physician CEO is for you. Physician CEO is an accelerated business immersion program designed for physicians and developed by MBA faculty from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. The 2018 program begins this January, so learn more at www.physician-ceo.com/DOTB. What's good, everyone? I am back with another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host. I am the Doc Outside the Box, Dr. Nee Darko. Now, someone wrote to me and asked, yo, Dr. Darko, what's up with all these episodes? And yeah, I had a large backlog of episodes that I needed to get out. And October was the month that I decided to catch up. So I still actually have some other episodes that I need to catch up on, but I wanted to give you about 4.5 episodes. I hope you all enjoyed it. I had a good time recording them all, and looks like based off of the download numbers, you all are loving them also. So before we get into our next episode, I quickly want to read another 5-star review off of Apple Podcasts. Once again, everyone, please, like I said, whether you listen to my podcast, whether you listen to someone else's podcast, the best way to thank that person, the best way to show your appreciation, the best way to show that you really like a podcast is to go out there and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show to grow, really helps the show to become that much more visible to new listeners. And, you know, when it goes up the rankings, you can, you have a larger cachet. You can get more guests and different type of guests. So please continue to leave your reviews. But this review is left by Dr. Lita Powell. And its title is Highly Recommend, excuse me. And Dr. Lita Powell says, I recommend this podcast to everyone out there, both medical and non-medical. The things that you learn from this podcast are invaluable, especially as a resident to see how others, quote unquote, live outside the box. It has definitely opened my eyes to think outside of our normal day-to-day busy lifestyles of physicians to create paths and opportunities that may not seem possible. I look forward to more episodes. That's what's up, Dr. Lita Powell. You're the 5-star review of this episode. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So my next guest is an old friend of mine, Dr. Shanicka Scarbrough. She is author of the book Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur, an easy blueprint from moving from employee to private practitioner in your spare time. So this book is for all of y'all out there who don't know anything about starting your own medical practice. It, in essence, is a 6-step guide that's going to help doctors get courage, get the know-how to start a private practice and live on your own terms. So as I said earlier, I've known Dr. Shanicka Scarbrough for some time now, literally for about 12 years now. And we knew each other back since the days of the Student National Medical Association, which is one of the largest student medical groups in medical school. And this was back when I was a region director for Region 2, and she was the region's pre-medical board member, a position where she had to do a lot of outreach to pre-med chapters within the chapter. And I'm telling you right now, Region 2, besides it being the best region in all of SNMA, the Student National Medical Association, it is one of the largest regions. So being in charge of all of the outreach to pre-meds in this region is not an easy task. We're talking about the states of Minnesota, Illinois, Missouri, Nebraska. I mean, I could keep going. It's basically in the entire Midwest. But she did an amazing job. And after that stint, after she finished her medical school, which she got her MD at the University of Illinois, Chicago, she went on and did her family residency at the Christ Advocate Medical Center. And afterwards, she went into and worked at a federal qualified health center, which is in short is FQHC. And she actually became disenchanted with medicine as a whole. You know, that's something that I think we all can relate to. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. She felt as though basically she was practicing on a daily basis, and she just felt as though she was in a rat race. And shortly afterwards, she became burned out very quickly. And the very interesting thing about her is that she didn't allow this to kind of fester for a very long period of time. What I'm talking about long period of time, I'm talking about years and years and years. She got burned out very quickly, and she quickly gave in her resignation letter. And within the span of 3 months, she literally was ready to hit the floor running, and she started her own private practice in Chicago. Well, the key thing with her, though, is that during this time when she gave in her resignation letter, she used her lunch hour to basically learn how to run her own private practice. I mean, she used it as her hour of research, her hour of preparation, her hour of goal setting, and she learned everything that she could learn to start a private practice. And she actually ran a very successful private practice in Chicago. She since then is now practicing also telemedicine because unfortunately she's had to take care of her mother who has early on stage dementia. But she's taken that knowledge and has decided to teach other physicians how to take, in essence, the reverse steps, right? The majority of physicians nowadays are either leaving private practice and going into the world of being an employee, or going from residency or fellowship and going into becoming an employee. This is actually reverse, right? Like when I was interviewing her, when I heard about this, I was like, you sure you got this the right way? Usually most people do it the opposite way, but she went ahead and has decided to take all the knowledge that she's gained and put it into a book, and it has become a bestseller in its own right. So things that you're going to learn on this episode are the top 3 mistakes that physicians make when starting a practice. She also talks about what fears doctors may have from going from being employed to being in a private practice. She's going to tell us her advice on writing a book, as well as her tips on social media, particularly live streaming, right? Live streaming is getting huge now. Live streaming is big on Facebook. It's huge on Instagram. And I'm sure there's other social media platforms that I'm not aware of that live stream is really huge. Actually, there's Periscope also. So we're going to learn about her tips on how to get really good at social media as well as live streaming. And of course, also, we're going to learn how she answers hashtag I'm not just a doc. So without further ado, I present Dr. Shanicka Scarbrough, author of Lunchtime, Physician Entrepreneur. Oh, one last thing, listeners. I got to apologize to you. You're definitely going to notice from the beginning of this episode, the quality is definitely degraded compared to the previous episodes. I realized afterwards, after recording this great episode, that actually my laptop's microphone was recording and not my ATR 2100. And nonetheless, though, I think you're still going to learn a lot. Just put up with it for this one time, and I promise you it's not going to happen again. But hey, imperfect action, sometimes you got to just move forward. But I just wanted to be honest and open with y'all, let you know what happened, and let's get on with the interview. Back at it again with another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I'm excited to introduce you all to Dr. Shanicka, author of The Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur, an easy blueprint for moving from employee to private practitioner in your spare time. Dr. Shanicka, welcome to Docs Outside the Box. I'm excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nee. How are you?
I'm doing great, and congratulations on bestseller status.
Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Whoop, whoop, you know?
I know. My hands up in the air. You can't see me. Hands up in the air, though.
Well, look, I'm really excited for you. I know that, you have an amazing journey that you're going to let us know about, and I know part of the culmination is you coming up with this book. And, I think it's a really good example of kind of living outside the box of your story and how you started from one point and then you kind of just decided to pivot on your own and took another path, and now you're being as successful as possible. But before we get into the nitty gritty of all of that, Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us what medical school you went to and so forth.
Absolutely. Well, I am Dr. Shanicka, America's favorite family doctor.
Why you gotta be the favorite family doctor? Why you gotta be tough?
You know what? I see patients across America. Literally, I cover about 15 states right now. So
15
my
states?
patients, yes, my patients love me. I love them. So I think I can. I think I can hold on to this title of America's favorite family doc.
I'm gonna give you that. I'll give you that. All right. So
I don't.
you're family medicine. All right.
Yes, I'm a family medicine physician. I graduated from the University of Illinois in Chicago, College of
Chi-town.
Medicine, in 2009. Good Lord, the time flies.
You know what?
And I
So wait, before you go into further, like we know each other. We go way back. We go
way
way
back
back.
like ham sandwiches.
Exactly. So everybody who's listening, me and Dr. Shanicka were board members in the Student National Medical Association. Well, what?
SNMA.
Region
SNMA.
2. You know how
Region
we
2,
do.
that's what's up.
We go way back, but for some reason, I didn't know that you were a class of 2009. For some reason, I thought you were a class of 2006 when I was graduating.
So actually, it took me a little bit longer to get through medical school than I would have liked. I
It
actually took
happens. It
time
happens to
off.
everybody.
Yeah, I took time off. Medical school was a little stressful for me, so I took about a year and a half off. I tried to be productive in my year and a half off, and I
Right.
actually did research at the NIH out in
Okay.
Bethesda
All right.
for some change because I had done that before and I knew I loved it. I loved DC at the time. So I just needed, to do something a little bit different. So I was supposed to originally graduate in 2007, but because I took that year and a half off, I came out in 2009.
Okay. You did what you had to do. You hashtag got your life
Exactly.
together. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that one of your hashtags?
Exactly. That is my hashtag. So, guys, if you guys don't know, because I'm America's favorite family doctor, I teach individuals how to live healthier, happier lives. And I do it with a hashtag group called Get Your Life Crew. Okay. We want to make sure
Spell
that everybody.
Is that GETCHO? Or is that get yo?
No, not yo. It's Get Yo.
Get yo life together. All right.
GETYOLIFE. Get Your Life. So you can hashtag that, and you will find a million posts of people getting their life together, making sure that they stay healthy. So
Okay.
yeah, I had to do that. I had to get my life. Sometimes you have to take the time for yourself to get
Absolutely.
yourself together,
Absolutely.
and to refocus and to repurpose. And that's exactly what I did.
Okay, so then after med school and after you took some time off and you went down to the NIH, where'd you do your residency at?
I did my residency at Advocacy. I can't talk like you today.
Yeah, it's infectious, right?
Christ Advocate Medical Center out in Oak Lawn in Illinois. I did the family practice residency there, came out in 2012. And I went to go work my first job, just as most residents do, fresh out of residency. Especially as a minority physician, we look for chances to give back to our community. So I decided to work at a federally qualified health center, which means that that's a place where individuals who have no insurance or minimal insurance or, the underinsured, the disadvantaged go for care. And I did that for a year before I branched out and went on this entrepreneurial path that's got me to where I am today.
Okay, so are you still practicing medicine right now?
I am, but I'm doing it in a different way.
Okay.
Back in 2000.
Don't be teasing us. Let us know what happened.
So back in 2009-ish, right when I graduated from medical school, I actually had to start taking care of my mother, who has dementia. And she had just, during medical school, she was showing signs of early dementia in her late 40s. So that was
That's really early, isn't it?
Super early. Come to find out, she had Lewy body dementia, so it presents itself a little bit earlier than, say, Alzheimer's. So back in 2009, I actually started taking care of her full time. And my mother now is at the point where she needs 24-hour care. So I actually decided to take a position working from home. Not many people know that you can do this, but I do telemedicine So I talk to patients via their mobile device, via their telephone, so I can stay home and take care of my mom. So yes, I still practice medicine. No, I am not laying my hands or stethoscopes on anyone at this moment. But yeah, I still see patients and I still practice medicine.
Well, I mean, that's very admirable that you're taking care of your mother, and I'm really, heartfelt condolences of what's going on with your mother. So,
Oh, much appreciated. But she's a blessing to me. She's definitely a blessing to me.
when you left the federally qualified health center,
Mm-hmm.
did I get it right?
Mm-hmm.
You were there for a year, and then you transitioned to this job, or did you transition to something else?
No, I actually transitioned into my own private practice.
Okay, what's up with that?
So let's see. How can I go about telling this story? This is the juicy story.
Mm-hmm.
So most people, again, you want to go, you want to give back to your community. You want to, help the disadvantaged. And that's what my goal was coming fresh out of residency. That was my main focus. So I went to work for this this federally qualified health center, but was very disenchanted. Was very disenchanted there, just disenchanted with the way the whole process went, disenchanted with medicine as a whole. I was seeing upwards because I was very quick, fresh out of, you fresh out of residency, you learn how to see these patients like that, and you're
On
in
the
your
quick.
mind, you're diagnosing, you're moving, you're shaking, right? So that's what I was doing, and I was seeing patients really fast, and they took advantage of that, and they would double, triple book me, knowing that I would see all 30, 40, maybe 50 patients in an 8-hour period. And I burnt out very quickly, very
Okay.
quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, patients
Sounds
are
like a
in the
common theme.
hallway.
Sounds like a
Yeah,
common
they're
theme.
they're in the waiting room. They're waiting for 2-3 hours to see you. They get in to come see you. They have 5 to 7 minutes, to be seen. And, they're completely frustrated because they've been waiting forever to see you, right? And you're in the back, you're working your butt off. You're constantly seeing patients. You're thinking everything's gravy until they get to you and almost fuss at you because you've been quote unquote so slow getting to them. So they're just, that entire environment was very negative. It was very stressful. And 9 months in, I knew it wasn't for me. So I gave my letter of resignation. I actually,
Damn.
the reason why, and how that even happened, I'm usually very chipper. If you can tell by my personality,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah. You always
always
bring the energy. I can't front. You always
upbeat,
bring the
always
energy.
upbeat. And one day I got to my computer, ready to check in for the day, and just completely burst into tears. Okay, just boo, that ugly cry me.
I did my best, cry. I did my best.
That good ugly cry at my computer, and I knew then it was time to go. So that next day I put in my letter of resignation, and we had to give a 3 months notice. So in that 3 months, I had to formulate a plan for what was next because I knew I
Oh,
didn't want to
wow.
work.
So you didn't even think about it before. You just, at that day, that emotion, you wrote that letter and you was out.
That was it. I was
Wow.
out. I was out, and I had 3 months to get it together. What, to get my life?
Right.
Hashtag get my life.
So
So
how did that go over with other people? Because look, this is your first year out as an attendant. You're making, a lot more than what you were making as a resident, definitely
but
as a medical student.
a lot less than what most physicians were making, period.
Okay,
Because I
got
was
you.
working at that federally qualified health center.
Okay, so he's working for the government. Well, you're technically not really working for the government, but okay, so you're making
But they
less.
receive government funds.
Okay, so how did that go over with colleagues, friends, when you said, look, I'm out? How did that go?
They thought I was nuts.
Did you have
They
second
thought I
thoughts?
Absolutely. You always have second thoughts. You always have doubts. I'm very spiritual. I'm a Christian. So I try and listen to what God tells me. And during that time, I was a fairly new Christian, just really starting to discover my faith. So when I would hear things, when things would drop into my spirit, I was still questioning, like, yeah, what? Are you serious? Really do that? So I wasn't as keen as to listening to that spirit before. So I'm definitely questioning. I'm definitely like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this right? And then God started opening doors for me. That's when I knew things were as they should be. When things are the way they're supposed to be, those doors will definitely open for you.
Okay.
You start to have some truly divine connections,
Okay,
for lack of a better word.
so for those 3 months, you're trying to figure out your life. You're getting messages, whether it's subliminal, whether it's supernatural. You're getting these messages. Why go into private practice? Did you ever consider doing like locums or just being employed by a hospital? Take us through that thought process and how you ended up choosing private practice and what type of private practice it was.
Sure. So I decided that I wanted to practice medicine on my own terms. I have the type of personality where I have to run things. That's just who I am. And I can't. I have an issue with working for someone else's dreams, someone else building someone else's dreams. That's just me. I've always been purposed that way. Why not locums? So interestingly enough,
It doesn't have to be locums, but like why not like urgent care or something like that? Because
absolutely.
most people don't think like I'm going to go back into practicing on my own, or they don't even have the confidence to even think about that. And I think it's really fascinating how you came up with that thought process.
You know what? To be honest, it had to be just divinely made. It was something in me that said I need to practice medicine how I want to practice medicine. I knew that I did not want patients waiting forever to see me. I knew that I wanted to create an environment that was open, that was warm, that was fresh, that was individualized. I wanted to give individualized care. I knew that patients deserved more, right? And I deserved more as a physician. As a provider, I wanted it to be a rewarding experience. And that's exactly what it was for me. So, and when I was planning out those 3 months, so the reason why the book is called The Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur is because on my lunch period, every day for those 3 months, I was learning, right? I was gathering information. I was taking random business boot camp courses. I was, doing everything that I could in those 3 months during my little lunch hour, trying to figure out how to make this business run and how to make it successful. So when I gave my 3 months notice, and even when I was done in August of 2013, and I opened my doors in October of 2013. So I didn't waste any time to get going because this was my livelihood, right?
So this is like a mom and pop like hang up a shingle type of practice?
No, absolutely not. I had a private practice in guys, I love this building. Okay, this building in Chicago was like an old historic bank. Okay, so beautiful bank. They actually filmed one of the Al Capone movies. Okay, in this bank. So it gave the private practice a very different feel. It was very warm. It was very welcoming. If you walked into my office doors, the colors were very warm. If you could smell lavender, incense, you would get inspirational quotes when you walked into my door. Like, it was that type of environment. So no real, mom and pop. I was ready. I was ready to go. I had my receptionist at the front desk. I had my medical assistant working for me, and it was just me running 2 rooms in my office. And it was absolutely amazing. There's no experience for me like it.
Okay, so since you've been running this on your own, or you went through that process of doing the research, do you know, or can you say, like, what are some of the top 3 mistakes that you think physicians right now make when they're starting their own private practices?
One of the top 3. Okay, so the first one is not getting the word out. When I opened up my practice, I spoke to everyone about my practice. I was on social media. Even though social media, we're talking 2012, so social media was beginning to start, but it was really starting to boom. At that time, you had more reach in reaching people. I would do health events, to get the word out to patients that I was open and ready for practice. The one thing that I wish that I would have done or would have had was a storefront practice. My practice was, like I said, in this bank building. So you couldn't tell from the outside that I was open and ready for business, right? You couldn't drive past it and see my sign, right? So that's one thing that I would say for sure. If you're especially starting out, you want to be able to have walk-in patients come in to see you without even knowing, without having seen an advertisement. So I spent a lot of money initially on marketing, right? Okay. Because I didn't have a storefront to have patients be able to walk in. The second thing people, I think, mistake when they're starting their practice is actually spending more than they have. So when I started my practice, before I even opened up my doors, I didn't, and this is an important point, I didn't have a bank to give me a loan. Right? I didn't have investors knocking down at my door saying, Dr. Shanicka, we want you to start this medical practice. Here's this money. Go for it. Get what you need. No, my practice literally started from scratch, from the bare minimums, right? So in order for me to make money, in order for me to build up capital, I actually did some of those locum tenens jobs, right? I worked part-time, doing these other odd physician jobs, whether it was working for an insurance company, doing home visits, whatever the case may be. But then I also built my practice starting with my patients doing home visits. So I started my core patients before I even opened up a brick and mortar were home visit patients, elderly patients who couldn't get out of the house, or disabled patients who couldn't get out of the house to go see their physician. So I had already began building my practice before I even opened my doors. So that's an old business trick. You let your services drive your business. You don't drive your business trying to push your services. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So that's another thing. People go and they purchase all of these things, and they spend all of this money without having one client, whether it's a medical practice or whether it's a business. You haven't sold one product, you haven't sold one service, but yet you went and bought the $2,000 machine that's going to do X, Y. You know what I mean? So you have to scale back. That's an important business lesson. Keep your expenses low. Right?
Okay. Stay
on budget. So that you can keep your revenue high. Absolutely.
So just like personal finance, you should be budgeting. That same concept applies to business also.
Absolutely. And you and your wife are the queen and king of budgeting. I love it.
You know it. So for those who are listening, we have an alternative ego. Check us out on Keeping Up with the Darkos, where we're trying to pay off so much debt.
Yes.
And, but yeah, budgeting is, and with us even having a business, there is, that concept, well, I'm budgeting for personal reasons, but do I necessarily need to budget for business? But you absolutely need to budget both ways. And
absolutely.
I wanted to ask you, so what are some fears that you think doctors have when they are leaving like an employed model like you have and going into maybe a private practice world? Can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, so I've actually done a couple of polls in my Facebook groups. I have Facebook groups for the Lunchtime Physician.
You are killing on social media too.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you. But yeah, so I put up a few polls there, and this past year as well as a few years back. What are some of your fears when you are trying to open your a private practice or thinking about opening a private practice? And the number one thing that people are most fearful of is capital. Right? The same thing that we just talked about. Yeah. Having the funds, having the funds to do it. And how do you supplement your income in the time?
I'm from the East Coast, so we say cash rules everything around me. So having enough cream.
Enough cream. There you go. All right. Wait, who was on? You said East Coast. Who was that? Biggie on that tag?
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I got to keep it real, Dr. Shanicka.
That's what's up. That's what it's about. So yeah, having enough capital, having enough cream, having enough dollars, having enough moolah, however you want to describe it, right?
Okay.
You want to make sure that they're very fearful that they're not going to be able to sustain their lifestyle, especially if you're coming from a high-paying practice. Usually, the high-paying practice physicians aren't the ones that's complaining too much. It's usually us primary care physicians, pediatrics, psychiatry. We're the ones that are like, look, we're the first stop. I'm gonna need for you all to pay us respectively, right? So, having enough money to maintain the lifestyle, just maintaining the lifestyle that you already have, is a big fear for people. Stepping out into that unknown. Another fear is, am I gonna fail?
Right.
Am I gonna fail? Will this be successful? Will this be profitable?
That's
right.
a good point. What compelled you to write your book? Because I think I started reading it and I think it's phenomenal. So let's take a moment to talk about your book and a little bit of the background.
Absolutely. So the Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur is actually adapted from an e-course that I did back in 2014, teaching physicians how to start their medical practice. So I actually did a live course, a live e-course, a live online course, teaching physicians how to start their medical practice. And that, a few people, I didn't advertise as much, but, I was still kind of, I was maybe 1 year out of starting my own medical practice. I'm like, and I think I can teach this, but I felt it was so important too, because so many people were missing out on that opportunity. A lot of my colleagues I see and still are, in some respect, very unhappy in their fields. They are burned out, stressed out, overworked. And they're still, I'm watching, and they're still going through the same cycle that they were going through back when I wrote the e-course back in 2014. And it's a little frustrating to see, but everyone's not meant to go on this path. So I truly understand that. But so the book is actually adapted from that e-course. And the reason why I wrote that e-course in the first place was because I'm watching my colleagues. I knew that I was there in that moment with them, a couple of years prior, feeling the exact same way. So we don't learn the business of medicine in medical school or residency, right? You may get at least in my residency, our program director sat down with us for maybe an hour or two and talked about practice management, but that was literally it. You're just like any college, right? They tell you to go to college, get a degree, and go find a job. And that's pretty much the same atmosphere or same environment for physicians and residents, right? You go get your medical degree, you go to residency, you finish that up, get your training, and then you go and you find a job, right? So we're not taught how to be successful. We're not taught how to start our own practices. We're just not versed in that whole concept. Right. And if you don't have that proverbial spoon in your mouth, right? If you don't have, some parents that are backing you up with, a trust fund, or parents that were physicians, in their own field, and they're passing down the business to you, that's usually how it goes, then you miss out on that opportunity and you are subject to working for someone else for the rest of your life. And I knew that wasn't for me.
Now, is this almost like a how-to kind of start your own practice, or is this mainly for people who are seasoned private practice doctors who can kind of turn things around? This is mainly for those who are coming right out?
This is for anyone who has a desire to start their own practice and have no idea how to get started, right?
And apparently it's been well received also, too.
Oh, thank you. Yes, people are giving me some high fives online, so I'm very excited about that. And I actually have a couple of students who took the course, the live course, and who have started their practices today, and I'm super excited, for them as well. But yeah, it's wherever you are in life. If you are a seasoned physician and you've been working for someone, working for corporations, you can read this book and get started. If you are still in residency and you're thinking about this starting, fresh out of residency, you can read this book and get started. So it's for anyone who has a desire to move forward and to start their own private practice. Absolutely.
And now, a word from our sponsor. Understanding how to run a business in medicine will put you at a unique advantage in the future. Whether it's leading a hospital, practice, or starting a new venture, the Physician CEO program will put you in focus from day one. Physician CEO is an accelerated business immersion program developed by MBA faculty from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. The Physician CEO program provides an intensive MBA-style education made up of modules, with each module covering topics from leadership to entrepreneurial ventures. Because of their individualized structure, each participant leaves the program with their 1, 3, and even 5-year business plan, all designed to function in the real world. If you're a physician who is looking to start your own venture, lead your practice or department, or even start planning for succession out of medicine, then you can't afford to miss this opportunity. Class is filling up. The 2018 program begins this January. Learn more at www.physician-ceo.com/DOTB.
I got to say, it's an easy read, which is really good nowadays,
Oh, good.
And, because, the way how we grew up, books were pretty terse and stuff. And nowadays, having something that you can get through really quick and get some great tips from is very useful. And I wanted to ask you about writing a book and getting it published and doing so well as you did. Do you have any pieces of advice that you can give to the audience? Because a lot of people are considering writing a book, or a lot of people even think that writing a book may be old, and now that we're in the age of social media. So take us through the process. Give us some advice. What are some things that the audience members can take with them in terms of writing a book and getting it out?
Absolutely. So interestingly enough, I first got an inkling to write a book almost 6 years ago. So I'm actually just finishing this year the book that I was trying to write 6 years ago. It literally took me 6 years to write. Okay. But in that time, I took a course called The Medical Mogul. Shout out to Dr. Dre. And he took us through the process of writing a book. So in the 6 months or the 10 months that I was in this program, I wrote 4 books.
Are you serious?
4 books that are going to, that have been released or will be released by 2018. So the whole process of writing was completely foreign to me. Like I said, it took 6 years for me to write this one particular book that's going to come out in 2018. But once you get in your head an idea of what you want to write, there's a process that you can do to write it. And the biggest thing to do is to actually sit down and write it, period. Right? Because we get in this place where we don't even want to write. We have an idea, but we live in not only writer's block, but we live in a society where we want instant gratification, right? So to actually sit down and write out words is a little kind of, mundane for those of us who live lives that are, quick paced and we want to get to moving, right? So I always recommend, and I'm teaching a group of women right now how to write. We're actually coming out with a book this year, an anthology. So I'm teaching them, some skills as far as writing, and just taking a half an hour a day to just sit down and just write goes a very long way. And that goes with anything. That goes with working on your business. That goes with working on your social media accounts. If you just take a half an hour a day to get it done, it will fly by, and you would be surprised at how much you'll get done.
So just half an hour, write down, anything that comes to mind related to that book.
Absolutely.
I guess what you're saying is the longer you go, the more likely your mind is going to drift off, or you'll get writer's block. So 30 minutes. Okay. So
30 minutes a day.
I can do that. I think the audience members can do that. What else can you recommend? I know you don't want to spill the bag on what you teach other people, but give us some more, some goodies, because we're
absolutely.
Because I want to write a book eventually. So
yeah, writing an outline is going to be important as well. So if you that should be the first thing that you do, is write out your outline, the things that you want to talk about. And it doesn't have to be extensive, right? A book doesn't have to be 50 chapters, right? If you read The Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur, it's 6 chapters, but it's 6 impactful chapters that you can actually take action on and do, right? Yeah. So a book doesn't have to be that long. So go ahead and write out your outline of things that you want to cover, and that'll get you started as well. And then just break it up in actionable chunks, right? Those 30-minute actionable chunks where you sit down and you hammer out that bullet point.
Okay. Now, I want to pivot for a second. Because I know we mentioned it before about your social media presence. And you have a very large social media presence. You're on Facebook, you're live streaming, obviously you're on Twitter and the other different social media options out there. Talk to us about that. Should doctors be embracing this more? Because you're live streaming all the time. Like, how do you find time to do all that stuff? Like, what are the tips that you can give to people so that they can, be impactful on it, so it can help their practice or maybe even help their branding?
So one actionable item that I can tell you right now that I wish I would have done, that I'm actually going to start doing in June, because there are a lot of things going on these past couple of months with my book launch and traveling, and I wanted to make sure that everything was in place. What I wish I would have done was to do it more consistently,
Right.
to have a set schedule for when I was going to do a live stream. That's important because people want to see you, right? Once you start developing your audience, they're expecting you, they're ready for you, they're interacting with you. So I would add, what I'm going to start in June is I'm going to set a schedule. I'm going to be live on this day. Look for me. Let's go. Right.
Okay.
That's what I wish I would have done. So I'm giving that piece of advice to you and your audience is to, set a day, set a time. This is when you're going to live stream so people can know and, expect you and be ready for you. It's important to live stream, especially now before they start charging, right? Because how
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
how social
They
media
got to
gets.
monetize everything.
Absolutely. It's important for physicians to live stream because we are educators, number one, right? Regardless of whether we're seeing patients on a one-on-one basis or whether we're seeing, patients in a group practice or, whether we just want to teach a general population. We are educators. It is our duty to educate the public about health issues. I find that people are very hungry for knowledge. They want to know, right? And the old adage, if you don't know better, you won't do better. A lot of people want to do better, but they simply just don't have the information or the knowledge to do so. So I am very adamant and very keen on educating our public, educating especially our disadvantaged communities where heart disease, hypertension, cholesterol, obesity, where it runs rampant in our communities. I am very adamant about teaching our communities healthy lifestyle, healthy lifestyle changes, as well as the reason behind why you should, eat better, why you should, they need to understand the process of hypertension and how does that happen. And explaining it in layman's terms, not
Right.
the stuffy physician, I know everything terms that we, tend to take with patients. So I think that's what my audience is very appreciative of. I Get Your Life crew. They're very, hey, look,
Wait, you said get your life or get your life?
well, okay. So I'm from the south side of Chicago, okay?
'Cause I need to clarify this so make sure everybody's getting the right hashtag.
We don't always write how we sound. So it sounds like Get Your Life with a CH, but it's actually Get Yo, GETYO,
Okay.
right, LIFE. Get Your Life.
Well, look, Dr. Shanicka, we're getting towards the end of the interview, and I just want to ask you some quick, fast questions. You game?
Let's go.
You ready to do this?
Let's go.
All right. So check it out. So what's one thing you want the listeners to get from this podcast?
You know what? I want you to be passionate about whatever it is you're going to do, and I want you to pursue it with fever.
Love it.
Is it fever or fever? Which one is it?
Whichever way you want it to go, girl.
You know what? Both.
It's your world.
Both. I want you to pursue it with fever and fever.
Exactly. All right. Well, what can the audience expect from you in 5 years? What's coming up next? Besides, well, obviously the first thing is those books, right?
Absolutely. So you'll have 4 books to choose from prayerfully. They will all be best-selling. The first 2 have been The Making of a Medical Mogul with Dr. Dre and 21 other physicians, medical mogul physicians, on how to be or, how we became medical moguls, and also the Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur, the anthology that we're doing with the Overcomers Women's Group, as well as a personal almost biography book that will be coming out in 2018. So prayerfully, those will all be best-selling books. Hopefully you will see me in media teaching other physicians. I want to make this a phenomenon, teaching other physicians how to start their own private practice. Prayerfully, I will have scholarships that I'm able to give, seed money that I'm able to give physicians to get them started, because we're in a different health climate, right?
Dang, girl.
We are in a different health climate, and I think physicians need to take back the autonomy. We need to take back being able to practice on our own terms. The government has stepped in, and these insurance companies have stepped in and have taken away the autonomy of physicians. And I think we need to take it back. And so if it's a movement, this isn't just for your own personal pride. This is a movement for better care for patients and for physician satisfaction with their work.
I love the answer. So knowing what you know now, right? You're Dr. Shanicka. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself as a pre-med or even as med student, Dr. Shanicka?
No fear.
Or student Dr. Shanicka, my bad.
Have no fear. Have no fear. God did not give us the spirit of fear, right? We are all beautifully and wonderfully made. We can do whatever we want to do. We have to not have any fear. Behind that, of course, educate yourself so that you are making informed decisions. But again, pursue your passion without fear, right?
I love it. That's a great answer. And the last thing that I ask my guests, obviously, is it's a hashtag. It's I'm not just a doc, and it's blank. So I want you to fill out or answer that statement. So Dr. Shanicka, I present to you, I'm not just a doc, I'm a
force to be reckoned with. Okay.
Yeah, nobody said that before. I like that one.
I am a force to be reckoned with. I am coming for what is mine. And I want to make sure that I'm spreading the knowledge, right? So when you start educating others on how to be better, regardless of what you're teaching, whether I'm teaching physicians how to start their own practice, whether I'm teaching individuals how to live healthier, happier lives, whether I'm empowering or uplifting other people to do greater things. Once you have knowledge, knowledge is power, and you are unstoppable with that power. So again, I am a force to be reckoned with. I am coming for what is mine, and I am bringing along as many people as I can.
And I think that's a great answer. And I just want to acknowledge you for what you're doing. I've seen your journey, all the way from being a medical student to where you're at right now. And I'm really impressed with what you're doing. You have a big heart. I just want to acknowledge you for being a force to be reckoned with and getting what's yours, but also at the same time, taking the concept of reach one, teach one, or did I get it right? Is it teach one, reach one, whatever. Either way, you know what I'm talking about, but I want to acknowledge you for what you're doing. I think what you're doing is great. So real quick, before we end the interview, I just want to give you an opportunity to kind of brag about yourself with your book. Where can they find you? How can they get in touch with you? The stage is yours, girl.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you so much, Nee. And I've watched your journey as well, and I'm super excited for everything that you are doing and everything that you are bringing to this medical profession. You are definitely out of the box, and I'm very appreciative of everything that you do as well.
Thank you, girl.
So I am Dr. Shanicka, America's favorite family doctor. Again, you can find me at www.drshanicka.com if you're interested in learning how to become a lunchtime physician entrepreneur, learning how to start your medical practice in your spare time. You can definitely find that information right on my website, www.drshanicka.com. You can find me on any social media handle at Dr. Shanicka. It's that simple. You can find me everywhere at Dr. DRSHANICKA. Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I do it all.
And your book, The Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur, is now available, right?
Yes, it is. It is now available, and you can get that right from my website, www.drshanicka.com. It is now an Amazon bestseller book. I am super excited about that.
Yes.
I would have never thought that I would have been a best-selling author. That's just blowing my mind. God is really, really good. He's been gracious.
Well, that's amazing. Congratulations to you. We're all excited for you. And look, we got to do this again, Dr. Shanicka. Thank you for being on the show.
I'm down for it. Thank you so much, Dr. Darko.
Take care, girl.
Take care.
Well, that's it. Episode 35 is officially over. I hope you all enjoyed it. That was a really good episode with Dr. Shanicka Scarbrough, author of The Lunchtime Physician Entrepreneur. Make sure you pick that book up and learn everything that you can about starting your own medical practice on your own terms as well. Make sure you follow her on drshanicka.com and also on social media with the tag at Dr. Shanicka, SHANICKA. And since we're talking about social media, make sure you leave me some feedback. You can always reach me at docsotb@gmail.com, as well as other sources, including Instagram with the handle at NiiPDarko. That's NiiPDarko. You could also reach me at Facebook with facebook.com/DOTB. And of course, with Twitter at DocsOTB. So I'll catch you guys on the next episode. But before we jet, remember one thing. We only got one life. Let's make it count and live outside the box. Peace.